Hi everyone, it's Mike here. So today I'm going to be batch making some of these Spooktacular Halloween cards. So I'm going to be batch making, I'm going to make another 6. So let's get on and get started. So I have a set of pre-scored or pre-bought, if you like, card bases. So these are European A6 size card bases. So if this was American size, you'd be looking at A2. So I've also cut some pieces of white stamping card, which are just a few millimeters shorter than the actual card base itself. So literally either a couple of millimeters all the way around, or probably an eighth or so of an inch shorter all the way around. And this is the card that we're going to be using for stamping our main image onto. Now I'll bring in the one that I've already done. Now as you can see, there's no colour on the skull. Now that's because when it was stamped I also used a mask like so. So I just literally stamped down and then cut out to create a mask for the skull. And this is another one that I've done, but I've not yet cut this one out yet. Now the stamp that I'm going to be using is the skull stamp from Indigo Blue. This is a new release, or being released on September the 21st. So this is a TV release for Indigo Blue. They were releasing this on the Hochanda shopping channel, along with a few other Halloween stamps as well. One of them being cracked glass, but this is also very useful, as you can see, for creating a spider's web effect as well. So I'll be using these two stamp sets to create the card. So I'll just pop that to one side. So the first thing that I need to do is just to create this mask. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a pair of scissors and start cutting out the mask for the skull. Now because this obviously is a boring process for you to watch, I'll make a start and then I'll just skip right to the end. Okay, so there's the mask completely cut out. So what I need to do now is to bring in my stamp press. I'll just move those other pieces of card to one side, and then I've positioned the stamp for the skull where I think it needs to go. Maybe just need to move it up a tad so it's more central on that card blank. That should be perfect. So once again, like I said, I'm going to be batch making these. So I'm going to be using jet black archival ink. I'm going to be using archival inks for all of the process for making these cards. So just need to make sure I get a really good inking, although without getting any of the lines from the ink pad on there. Make sure that it's as even as possible and that there's plenty of ink. Now I know I'm probably going to have to do 2 or 3 of these just to get the depth of colour that I want, because this isn't a brand new archival ink pad, so the ink on it isn't the blackest and best that it could be. Just give it a generous push and then lift off. So again, I'm going to give that a second coat, if you like. And I'll be doing this for the same, on all of the other cards. So the process for this will be, you'll see me do one and then I'll go off and do the rest. Try not to wobble, so each time I do it, it gets darker and darker. So I'll give that one more go. Okay, just see if we can get a little bit more colour. Much better. Okay, so I'm happy with that. So I'm now going to repeat the process for the rest of the cards. So now you've seen me do that one, I'll just drop in another. Just catch it with those magnets. And then I can just carry on inking up until I've got 6 of these, all to the same kind of colour depth with the black. Okay, so I've actually done 7. I obviously can't count, can I? So I've done 7 of them. So I'm going to end up making 7, which is fine. So as you can see, they're all stamped. I've got the darkest impression that I possibly can from that jet black archival ink. So I did do it 2 or 3 times like you saw me do. So we now need to move on to the next stage. So I'll just pop these to one side. And then this is where I bring in the mask. So the mask is going to sit over the top, just like that. I'm just going to hold it in place. So I've got my 3 colours of archival ink that I want to use. I've got violet, which is also the same colour that the skull is stamped in there. I've got tiger lily, and I've also got fantastic leaf green. So I've got some really cool kind of Halloween-y colours to work with. So first of all, I've got 3 clean ink pads. So I'm going to load up, hold down that mask, try and position it so it covers. I can't find my repositionable tape, but that doesn't matter. So start off and then bring that colour in. Blend it around. Being as careful as we can. So I'm trying not to get it onto the corners or lifting that piece of paper. So just gentle swirling motions, bringing in that purple. I may have to do more than one mask, but that's okay. So we're starting to bring that colour in and put that one to one side. So I'll grab the mask again, doesn't matter about the back getting dirty. And then we can bring in the next colour, which I'm going to use leaf green. Make sure I get plenty of the colour on, and then just start bringing that in. Just gently blend in. Kind of nice cathartic process. One that you can stop your brain from having to think and just do it. Because you can keep on going until you're happy with the depth of colour that you're getting. Right, I think I'm happy with the green. And then I can bring in that tiger lily. It's a cool Halloween orange. actually. I think it might be starting to dry out a little bit. Of course, you don't have to use archival inks for this. You could use your distress inks or even your oxides if you really wanted to. That blendability and adding a few splashes into the background too. And that final corner. Yeah, I think I'm definitely in need of either some re-inker or a new pad. But let's see, what have I got? Carved pumpkin. Let's see what we get from that. There we go. That's a bit more of a vibrant orange, isn't it? Just gently blend those colours out. Cool. Mix and match, that's what we like. So let's put that one to one side and then we can lift off. There we go. So that's what it looks like after we've done our background with that mask. So I'm going to go ahead and do all of the other remaining 6 and then I will be right back. Okay, so all 7 of those cards are now have all that ink blended onto them. I did switch out actually the archival inks for distress inks along the way. So as you can see, this one and this one have been done with the violet archival ink, and then I kind of switched out to which one did I switch out to? Wilted Violet, Distress Ink and Twisted Citron, and kind of use those distress inks instead. So you can mix and match if you want to, depending on which ones you've got, obviously. So we now need to go on to the next stage. So let's just put these to one side. Okay, next up we're going to add this cracked glass or spider web kind of image over in the top corners or around the card anyway. It works better if you do it on a lighter colour, not over the purple, but actually over on the greens or the oranges, just because there's more of a contrast. So the stamp that we're going to use for that one, like I said before, is the indigo blue cracked glass. This time I've mounted it onto a stamp block, only because it's just a little bit easier to do it in those 2 corners. So I'll grab my card that I want to add it onto. I've got the jet black archival ink again, so I'm just going to ink it up, make sure there's plenty on. The table's bouncing a little bit. And then grab the mask. As you can see, I've already had a practice. Lay that down over the top and then just drop it onto your card and then give it a push. If you're like me, you like doing the cardiac arrest kind of version, then just give it a real good push and then lift off. There you go. So I'm going to repeat that process over on the top. This side, bring the mask down a little bit, ink up, show plenty of ink transfers, and then it doesn't matter which way around you grab or use the stencil, or not the stencil, the stamp. In this case it's big enough to get the effect. Drop it down, give it a push, and there we go. So I now need to repeat that same process on the other 6 cards. So now you've seen me do that, I'll go off and do those, and I'll be back when I've done all the rest. Okay, so we've now added on our spider's web effect on all of the corners and all 7 of the card fronts. So, to bring in the one that I did earlier, we have some bats flying in the background too, just up there and down there. So to do that, then I have my Totes Amaze Bats stencil. I'll just show you that one. There we go, you can see how I created those bats on there. So we're going to be using Jet Black Archive link again, this Totes Amaze Bats stencil, which is available on my website right now, and we're going to just add that detail into all 6 or all 7 of the card fronts. So I'll just put that away, and then we'll just start from the top and work our way down. So grab this one first, get the stencil, just line the stencil up so I got the maximum amount of bat shapes, kind of keep it straightish. Load up my sponge and literally just go around the outsides. Now I can see where the skull is, so I don't have to mask up, like so. So I can just drop that down and very carefully just add that ink through the stencil without having to worry about getting any on that image at all. So there you go. So that's that one, and again I need to repeat that another 6 times on all the rest of the remaining cards. So I'll go away and do that, and I'll join with you when I've done all of those. Okay, so all of my bats are now stenciled onto the front of the cards, and I think we're ready to start mounting them onto the card front. And it's really plain and simple and easy thing to do, whether you use double-sided tape or you use wet glue or whatever you choose to use. I'm just going to grab one of my favourite multi-purpose spirit glues and just add some of that to the back of the card. This just gives me a little bit of wiggle room to be able to line the card up exactly where I want it on the front to get that equal border all the way around. And the beauty of this glue is that it doesn't buckle the card when you're done. So some glues end up crinkling, but this one doesn't. So that's in. Now I've also got, I've already pre-prepared from my computer, is the insert sheet. So this is just like an insert piece that all I did was just created the graphic on my computer and then just printed it out and cut it out, and I managed to get 4 of these on an A4 sheet. So because I've got 7, I did it twice, so that gives me 8 of these little inserts to put on the inside of my cards. So all I need to do is just flip it over, grab some of that glue, and I can literally just add it to the top if I want to. It doesn't need to be glued all the way down, and I can position that in the middle just like so. And then I have a little insert that I can write on and sign it to whoever I send it to make sure I get it straight on the inside. There we go. And I just need to do that to all the remaining 6 cards. So I'll pop off and do that, and then we'll be ready to add the googly eyes. So all of my card fronts and inserts are mounted into the cards. So all I have to do now is to start adding on those googly eyes. So all I have is just a small bottle of glossy accents, and all I'm going to do is just to add a little drop just in the centre of each of the eye sockets, and just grab my googly eyes and then just set that down into the glossy accents. Really, really simple. And that gives me a little bit of time before the glossy accents grab, just to position those eyes in the sockets. So once again, you've just seen me do that one. I'll pop off and go and do the others, and then I'll be right back. So there you go. All of my cards now have the googly eyes added to them. So this was the original one that I did at the very beginning, and these 7 are the ones we did on camera to show you how I did it. So that's it. I now have 8 fantastic googly Spooktacular cards to send out just in time for Halloween. Team that up with a black envelope and we're all set.